100 million raise. $100 million. I just want you to, take a second and really let that number sink in.
It's a wild figure. It's not the kind of number you associate with a person.
Exactly. It's like a corporate acquisition. You'd expect it to be for, I don't know, a tech startup or a skyscraper, but this is for a teenager.
An 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It just puts the scale of the global football economy into, well, a pretty crazy perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. And that is the hook for today's deep dive. We're getting into the whole saga around Robson Jr., this young forward from Brazil, and this monumental offer from Inter Milan.
But this isn't just about a transfer rumor. I think we need to be clear on that.
Right. We're not doing the tabloid who's going where thing.
No, because this story, it's a perfect case study.
Yeah.
It tells you everything about Europe's obsession with South American talent, the financial reality for clubs like Santos, and just how we value human potential in sports today.
Okay, so we've got the rising star, the rich club, the club that needs the money, and a 9-figure check. Let's get into it. First off, who is Robson Jr.?
Yeah, good question. Because if you're not tuning into the Brazilian league every week, you're probably asking, who is this kid?
And why is he worth $100 million?
So his full name is Robson de Souza Jr. He's from São Vicente in São Paulo. And the most important thing about him, really, is where he learned to play. He's a product of the Santos Youth Academy.
And we have to stop right there for a second. The Santos Academy, that's not just any training ground.
Oh, not at all. It's legendary. It's like the Juilliard of football. They call them the Meninos da Vila, the boys of the village.
This is where Pelé came from. Neymar, Rodrigo.
Exactly. So when a player comes through that system, they already have this stamp of quality on them. It's like buying a Swiss watch. The market just assumes a certain level of excellence because of where he comes from.
So there's a brand premium baked in from the start.
Yeah.
But it can't just be about the shirt he wears, right? He must be performing.
Oh, he is. He debuted back in 2022, but 2023 was his real breakout year. And it's that classic prodigy timeline, A few minutes here and there, looks a little raw, and then suddenly, boom, he's indispensable.
The scouting reports use this term I love, explosive characteristics. It sounds like he's a firework on the field. What does that actually mean?
It's that burst of acceleration, that ability to just change the game in a split second. But here's what makes him different and why the price is so high. He's not just a runner.
Right, because you see a lot of fast young players who have no end product. The headless chicken phenomenon, as they say.
Precisely. But the reports on Robson all highlight his vision, his technical ability. He provides assists. That shows a cognitive maturity you just don't see in most 18-year-olds. He's not just running, he's thinking.
So he can create for others, not just for himself.
Yeah, he lifts his head up. And, the sources mention similarities to Brazil's football legends. They're careful not to name names, but...
But when you say a Santos forward with explosive skill, the Neymar comparison is just hanging right there in the air.
It's inevitable. And there's another piece to this, the mental side, that it factor. Playing for Santos is not easy.
No, it's a pressure cooker.
The fans demand beautiful football, not just wins. They'll boo an ugly 1-0 victory. And he's handling that pressure. That tells the European scouts that he probably won't freeze under the lights of a huge stadium like the San Siro.
Okay, so we have the player. A skilled, mature, explosive kid from a legendary talent factory. Now, the buyer, Inter Milan. Why are they dropping this kind of money on a teenager from Brazil right now?
This gets into their corporate strategy. Inter has a demographic problem. Their squad is getting old. The source points out a lot of their key guys are in their 30s.
The dreaded aging squad. It happens to every great team eventually. You win with veterans, but father time is undefeated.
Exactly. They need a refresh. They need young legs. But here's the pivot. A decade ago, Inter would have just gone and bought an established 27-year-old star from another big European club.
But that player now costs, what, 120 million? Plus insane wages.
Right. It's just not sustainable, especially for Italian clubs. So they can't afford the finished product anymore. They're targeting high growth potential instead. It's a venture capital mindset.
So it's an investment strategy. It's like buying a startup you think is going to be the next big thing instead of buying blue chip stock that's already peaked.
That is the perfect analogy. They see Robson Jr. as an asset that's undervalued now compared to what he could be worth in 3 or 4 years. But there's a psychological driver here too.
Let me guess. FOMO. Fear of missing out.
Huge. It's a massive driver in this market. Every major club saw what Real Madrid did with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo go.
Right. Madrid paid what seemed like crazy money for them as teenagers, and now they are 2 of the best players in the world, worth 4 or 5 times the investment.
And now everyone is terrified of missing the next one. They feel like they have to get in now because if they wait until Robson is 22 and established, his price isn't $100 million anymore.
It's $400 million. It's untouchable.
Exactly. So paying $100 million now is, in a very weird way, their version of buying low.
That's wild. The budget option is a 9-figure sum.
It sounds absurd, but in this inflated market, that's the reality. High risk, but an astronomical potential reward.
Okay, so that's Inter. They need youth, and they want to buy it before the price goes to the moon. What about Santos, the seller, one of the most famous clubs in the world? Why let their best prospect just walk away?
And that brings us to the harsh reality of South American football economics. The sources are clear. Santos is in a tough spot financially. They have debts they need to pay.
So it's a cash flow problem, rich in history, poor in the bank.
It is. And their business model for a long time has relied on this. Player trading is how they balance the books. The text even brings up the sales of Neymar and Gabigol. Those transfers basically kept the lights on for years.
It's a constant cycle then, isn't it? Find a gem, polish him for a year, sell him to survive, and then start all over again.
It is, and that creates this incredible tension. It's what I call the conflict between the boardroom and the bleachers.
I like that. Break it down.
Well, the boardroom sees Robson Jr. as a financial asset, our $100 million asset that solves their solvency problem. It's just numbers on a spreadsheet.
But the fans and the bleachers.
They see their best player, their hope for the future, leaving. They see the team getting weaker on the field. Imagine being a fan. You buy the jersey, you go to the games, and then your favorite player gets sold so the club can pay off a loan. It's a really tough pill to swallow.
Nerve-wracking, really.
It is. But for clubs like Santos, selling isn't just a choice to make a profit. The source says they're often forced to sell. It's a survival mechanism. If they don't, the debt gets worse, and the whole thing could collapse.
So they're selling their future to secure their present.
In a way, but they're smart about how they do it.
Okay, let's talk about the deal itself. Our $100 million, where does that stand in the grand scheme of things?
It's huge, but it's not the absolute record anymore. The source gives us a great comparison. The Endrick deal. When he went from Palmeiras to Real Madrid, that was reportedly worth around $600 million.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not at that level. That's a huge gap.
Yeah, true. But Endrick was seen as a once-in-a-generation talent, a real market anomaly. $100 million still puts Robson Jr. in a very select group. It's the top tier of youth transfers.
And these deals are never just a suitcase full of cash, are they? The source says they're ironing out the details. What does that mean?
It's always complex. You have performance bonuses, so Santos gets more money if Inter wins the league or if Robson scores a certain number of goals.
Okay.
But the most critical part for Santos is the percentage of future resale.
Ah, the sell-on clause. This is the really clever part. Explain how that works.
Sure, so Santos will say, okay, we'll sell him for $100 million now, but if you sell him to Manchester United in 5 years for our $300 million, we get 15% of that future sale.
That is brilliant. It's like they're keeping equity in him. He becomes a dividend-paying asset long after he's gone.
Exactly. And given their financial state, that clause is probably a non-negotiable for them. They can't afford to sell the winning lottery ticket and get none of the jackpot.
So I want to zoom out for a second. This isn't just about Robson. The source talked about this whole trend of exporting prospects. Brazil seems to be selling players younger and younger.
Oh, the timeline has sped up dramatically.
Right.
It used to be a player would dominate in Brazil, maybe win the Copa Libertadores, and then move to Europe at 23, 24. Now the European clubs want them at 18. Sometimes they buy the rights even earlier.
The source lists Gabriel Martinelli, Andre, Caio Jorge. It really is a pipeline.
It's a full-on supply chain. And there are pros to this model, right? For Santos, it increases their visibility. If you're the club that sold a star, everyone trusts your academy. It helps you attract investors, sponsors, the next generation of talent.
It's a branding exercise. Santos, we make stars. That helps them sign the next 12-year-old kid with a dream.
Right. But then there are the cons, and this is the big debate in Brazil. Does selling all your best talent so young actually hurt the quality of the domestic league?
I mean, it has to, doesn't it? If your best players all leave before they even hit their prime, you're just left with a developmental league.
That's the argument. The internal competition suffers. The games aren't as good, the TV rights aren't worth as much. But to keep those players, the clubs would need to be financially healthy, and they're not. So it becomes this vicious cycle. They sell to survive, which weakens the product, which makes it harder to make money, which means they have to sell again.
It's a tough spot. It's not just about football, it's about macroeconomics. the power of the euro versus the Brazilian real.
It's a gravitational pull that's almost impossible to fight.
So looking ahead, what's next for Robson Jr. if this deal goes through? And we should remind everyone, the report says Inter is about to make the proposal, so it's not done yet.
If it happens, he's facing the challenge of a lifetime. He's not just changing countries, he's changing his entire football philosophy. The tactical rigor of Serie A in Italy is a whole different ballgame.
What's the main difference compared to playing in Brazil?
Well, Italian football is traditionally very structured, very defensive, very tactical. It's like chess. Brazilian football is more fluid, more improvisational, based on individual brilliance.
So he's going from a free-form jazz session to a tightly choreographed ballet.
That's a great way to put it. Adaptation is everything. And on top of that, he's got the pressure of being labeled the next big Brazilian icon while carrying a $100 million price tag.
Yeah, no pressure, kid. Just learn a new language, a new culture, and carry the hopes of two massive fan bases on your 18-year-old shoulders.
Right. But this is where that maturity the scouts talk about gets tested. He won't have time to be a kid. He's a blue-chip asset now.
So, to sum it all up, Inter needs youth, Santos needs money, and Robson Jr. is the $100 million kid caught in the middle who could solve both their problems.
That's it in a nutshell. It's a transaction where everyone's motivation is different, but they all converge on this one player.
It's just a fascinating look at the business of the sport.
And it leaves you with a really big, sort of uncomfortable question about the future, I think.
What's that?
If the biggest clubs in Europe now treat the giants of South America as essentially their farm teams, what does that do to the global balance of the sport? Are we heading to a future where no superstar ever plays in their home country past the age of 19?
And what does that do to the identity of those leagues? Do they become purely showcases for talent rather than competitions to be won?
Exactly. Are you playing to win a title, or are you just developing assets for export?
A provocative thought to end on. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on the story. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
Anytime.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.